So since we're going to be looking at volume, last week when we did volume, we looked at the fact that it was a cubic unit and it could be made of cubes. So today when we do volume, we're actually going to look at shapes without the cubes in them. And so we're going to draw them and we're going to figure out the length, the width, and the height. Okay, so today you can do I can solve. I can solve for the volume of a rectangular prism. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the volume of a rectangular prism. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to use the formula for that. So what we're going to write is we're going to write volume equals, and this is our length times width times your height. And I know some of you figured this out last week when we were doing the squares inside of it, when we were trying to figure out how many squares were inside of a shape. I know some of you guys got really, really good at this. But today we're going to look at shapes that do not have the squares inside of it. And all I'm doing is giving you this length, this width, this height. And I want you to figure out what our volume is going to be. All right? So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to draw a couple shapes. We're going to do it 3 times. And we're going to label them because you always want to label. Just like you did an area when you labeled your length and your width, you always, always, always want to label your shape. That way you know that you can go back and double check your math. Okay? So our first one, we're going to make one. So we're going to start. And I'm using 2 lines this time. And I'm making it kind of long because I want it to be longer than it is high. All right. So when you're looking at it, I'd like it to be longer than it is high. So do the best that you possibly can. Okay. So we're starting with this rectangle. Today's shape, I'm going to go to the left so that we can get it, so I can look at it a little bit better. So I'm drawing my diagonal lines to the left, and I'm using my lines here to where I'm going to stop, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to make them straighter because I'm using those lines as guides. And I'm going to go ahead and connect across my top, and I'm going to connect going down so that I have this rectangular prism that I can now find my length, my width, and my height. All right. So here we go. I'm going to find my length first. And my length is going to go right across here, and it tells me how long my shape is. So in this one, I'm going to write a 5. For my length. My width, I'm going to say that is a 2. And then my height, I'm going to say that is also a 2. All right. So now if I'm going to find this, I'm going to say my volume equals, and I'm going to write an L, a W, and I'm going to write an H. And I'm going to do that every single time because I want to know, did I write my length? Did I write my width? Did I write my height? Because I know that I am very, very fast when I'm doing my math, and sometimes I forget things. And when I forget things, then I make a mistake. So I always want to write volume equals my length times my width times my height, so that I can then take these numbers and bring them over. So this is what it would look like. I know my length is a 5, so underneath the L, I'm going to put my 5, because now I know I have found my length. My width is a 2, so underneath the W, I'm going to write a 2, put my multiplication symbol. And my height is also a 2, so I can put my multiplication table. All right, so here we go. Just like order of operations, all I have is multiplication, but I have more than one operation. So I'm going to work from left to right. So I'm solving for 5 times 2 first. So what is 5 times 2? Absolutely, it would be 10. So I'm going to write my 10, and because I have not used my times 2 for my height, I'm going to write times 2 again because I haven't used that. Now, I only have one operation left, and it is 10 times 2. So I'm going to solve for 10 times 2. And I'm going to get 20. So the volume of this rectangular prism is 20 cubic units. And you always want to have that label there that tells me it wasn't grams, it wasn't inches, it wasn't feet, it was cubic units. So I would have to put 20 cubes inside of this shape to make it. All right. Let's try another one. I'm going to scoop my paper up just a little bit. I know a couple of you were struggling on how to make that shape, so I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, so start your pencil, and I want you to draw a line straight down going 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So you should have a vertical line from top to bottom that goes over 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. All right. So I'm going to scoot over just a little bit, and I'm going to mimic that line so that it runs parallel to this other line. Now, I know it might be not quite straight because we're not using a ruler, but you're looking for 2 parallel lines that span 4 lines. All right. Now, I want you to connect your bottom and connect your top. Now, you could have connected the top first. It's fine. Either way, it doesn't matter. I just need those connected. So now you have a rectangle. To turn that rectangle into a rectangular prism, you have to draw diagonal lines, okay? That's what gives it that depth. So we're going to start right here, and I want you to draw up to the line above it a diagonal line. So it's going to look just like this. All right. Once you have that diagonal line, you go over to the other top intersection and you do another diagonal line up to the blue line above it. So now there should be 2 lines running parallel, diagonal and parallel, going away from your shape. All right. Now I would love if you would connect those 2, which makes the top of our rectangular prism. Okay. Once you have the top done, you need to do the side that you can see. So we're going to come down to this bottom point, and I'm drawing that diagonal line again to the blue line above it, because now you're trying to make this side that I can see. Once you have that diagonal line, you're going to want to go ahead and connect it from the top to the bottom, or you can draw from the bottom to the top, whichever is easiest for you. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and label it. And so I'm going to say my length this time, let's make it a 3. And I would like my width, I'm going to leave that one at 2 because it kind of looks skinny. And I'm going to go ahead and make this, let's make this a 4. I went down 4 lines, so I'm going to say it's a 4. Doesn't have to be, but today I want it to be. All right, so now we go back over here to our work area and we say volume equals length times width times height. Remember, every single time I do this, I want to write that down to see what I have. And I'm going to start finding what do I know. All right, what do I know? I know my length is a 3, so I'm going to put that under the L because my length is going to be a 3. My width is a 2, so I'm going to put a 2 under my W because that is where my width is. And I know my 4 is my height, so I'm going to put a 4 under my H so that I now have my height. And now I'm set up to be able to solve my equation, and I'm looking for volume. So I'm going to start with my first 2 numbers, which is 3 times 2. That's my first operation. And what is 3 times 2? Perfect. Perfect. Since I have not done my times 4 yet, I'm going to go ahead and bring that down because I have not solved for that operation. And now I have to solve for what is my 6 times my 4. Absolutely, it is 24. And I'm going to write my cubic units after it so that I know it's volume. And it takes 24 cubes to fill in this shape. All right, 24 cubes to fill in this shape.
3.
All right. So let's try one more. We're going to try another shape. Let's see. We've done a wide. We've done a tall. Let's try one. Let's try one that's more square. Okay. So I'm again going to start at the top. And I'm going to go down, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go down 5 this time. So I'm going to start with one of my lines. Let me pull this up just a little bit so you guys can see. Okay. And I'm going to scoot over and I'm going to run a line parallel to that. Kind of looks like it's leaning a little bit, but it's all right. I think that's the camera, I hope. I'm going to connect my bottom to my top. So now I have, it's still a rectangle, but I was trying to make a square. And now I'm going to go up. This time I'm going to make it a little bigger. So when I do my diagonal lines, on the last 2, I went up one line. This time I'm going to go up 2 lines. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go up 1 blue line, 2 blue lines, and that's going to show that it's going to be larger. Okay. And I did my right-hand corner. Now I'm going to do my left-hand corner. So again, I go to that blue line and I'm drawing it down to my corner. And I'm going to go ahead and connect my top so I have a top on my cube. All right. Once I get the top done, I'm going to come down here to the bottom corner and I'm still going to go up those 2 lines. So see, I went 1, 2 lines and I went diagonal. And now I should be able to connect my top line to my bottom line, and hopefully it looks like a cube. Hopefully. That's my plan. All right, so now I have to label it. So I'm going to say my length right here on the bottom. Let's go ahead and make that a 5. And since it's a cube, and our goal was a cube, that would mean This would be 5. And this would be 5, because on a cube, it is just like a square. And so all 3 sides are going to be the same if it's a cube. Okay, that was our goal. I know it doesn't quite look 100% the same, but we're going to say this is a cube, and this is what we're doing. So we're going to start with our volume equals length times width times height. And now we're going to go through it, and we're just going to say, do I have my length? Yes. That is a 5. Do I have my width? Yes. That is also a 5. Do I have my height? Yes. That is also a 5 because it's a cube. So now I start with my multiplication, and I say 5 times 5. And 5 times 5 is going to be 25. And I haven't used this times 5. So I'm going to bring that down. Now, 25s are kind of fun to do because it's like counting quarters. So if I have 5 quarters, how much do I have? Absolutely, it would be 125 cubic units. So to fill in this cube, I would need 125 cubes to fill in this shape.